Hello, welcome to Visionaryx, our podcast, where you can have real and simple conversations with us about various tools and technologies. I'm Ceph, and
I'm Simple Storage Service 3. In this podcast, we dive into exciting discussions about simple and deep technical topics in the world of DevOps and cloud. You can find the full transcript of this episode on our website, visionaryx.tech, to follow along with us. Stay tuned and enjoy the adventures in the world of technology. Oh, hey there, dear Ceph. How are you doing, old friend?
hi S3. Oh, I'm happy to see you. I've heard you're very busy these days.
Yeah, well, billions of requests per second. Being eventually consistent lets me work faster than lightning.
Hmm, interesting. But I always think strong consistency is like a safety belt. It might, uh, slow you down a bit, but it's safer.
Oh no, here we go again. I knew you'd bring this up. Look, my friend, in today's world, speed is, everything.
Really? So, what about that banking client who couldn't see their balance correctly last week?
Well, that was a special case. In 99.99% of cases, everything works great. Plus, with eventual consistency, I can, keep latency at milliseconds.
You know what? This reminds me of an interesting story. One of my clients once said, speed is good, but, when you don't know where your data is, it's like driving with your eyes closed.
Oh, that's an interesting comparison, but I'd say it's like, driving with your eyes open in a Ferrari. You have to, well, give up something, right?
Oh, look, I just got a notification from one of my users. It says, thank you for always letting me know, uh, exactly where my data is.
Oh, come on. Like I don't have, millions of happy users too. To be honest, I'm working on a new feature that lets users choose which data should be strongly consistent and which should be eventually consistent.
How interesting. So, um, you finally agree with me about giving users more control.
No, that's not it. I'm just, meeting my users' different needs, like strong consistency for money things and, eventual consistency for profile pictures.
It's good that you're getting more, uh, flexible. But I still have one question. Why don't you, let your users know where their data is stored?
Ah, here we go again. Look, I believe users shouldn't worry about these details. I mean, when you're in a lift, do you, um, worry about how the motor works? Really, our different views are what have made the storage world better.
You know what? I say knowledge is power. You say simplicity is power. I want users to know and control everything. You want them to just, focus on their work. It's, uh, interesting how we each meet different needs.
Exactly. Like, you're perfect for a big money company that wants, uh, full control of their data, while I'm better for, a startup that needs to grow fast and doesn't have time for technical details.
So let's say it this way. You're like an online taxi where the passenger just says where to go, and I'm like, um, a rental car where the driver has all the controls.
Interesting example. But, let's talk about architecture. How do you manage all this control?
I use the crush algorithm. It's like, a smart map that knows exactly where each piece of data should go. Everything is, clear and controllable.
But why all this complexity? I hide everything behind a simple API, like a professional waiter who does everything quietly.
Aha. So you admit you hide everything. How can, um, users be sure where their data is?
Well, When you order food, do you uh, go to the kitchen to see how they make it? I guarantee availability. Isn't that um, enough?
Well, some customers like to know, like restaurants with open kitchens, and this openness can help find problems better.
You know what the problem is? You're trying to teach everyone to cook when they just um, want to eat good food.
Actually, it's the opposite. I give my customers choice, like a restaurant where you can uh, order food or cook yourself. By the way, I heard your customers are complaining about data exit costs.
Ah, here we go again about costs. Look, I offer a complete ecosystem, like a five-star hotel with everything. Of course it has some costs.
Interesting. So you admit you make your customers depend on your hotel. I prefer my customers to be free.
Well, back to talking about costs. Look, I provide a full system, like a five-star hotel with uh, everything. Of course it costs money.
Interesting. So you agree you, uh, make your customers stay at your hotel. I like my customers to be free.
Look, I have a question. How many of your users really use all that um, control and openness you give them? Most just want to know their data is safe.
Good point. But when problems come, that control and openness helps. Like a toolbox in a car. You might not use it for years, but when you need it,
Yeah, but sometimes having a full toolbox makes people think they can fix everything. I've seen hundreds of users try to fix things and uh, make them worse.
ha, that's exactly the, parent-like thinking I don't like. You think your users can't make good choices.
No, I just want my users to um, focus on their business. Look, right now I have a new startup using me, and in 3 months they got uh, 1 million users. Know why? They didn't waste time fixing storage.
But what if they need to move one day? What if AWS costs get too high? Then they'll see that.
Move! Oh, I made the S3 API a standard. They can leave any time. Of course, with a reasonable fee for moving data.
Speaking of moving and costs, I have an interesting challenge. Want to talk about scaling?
Oh, my favorite topic. I can scale forever. Just yesterday, I had a video service grow from 100 terabytes to 10 petabytes in, 1 hour.
I can scale forever too, but with one big difference. My users know exactly how the scaling happens, like a pilot who can control their flight height.
Oh, here you go again. Look, managing scaling is like managing a big orchestra. Why should users worry about tuning each instrument? Let a professional conductor do it.
It's interesting you used that example, because sometimes the players know best how to play their notes. Remember that gaming service that wanted to move high-use data to special nodes?
Well, yes, but I offered them auto-tiering. Now I smartly know which data goes where.
And who pays for this smartness? I let my users decide where their data goes, like a kitchen where the chef knows where to put each ingredient for the best access.
Let me share an interesting technical challenge. When I get a PUT API call, I handle all the replication, consistency checks, and storage optimization myself. A simple interface with lots of managed complexity behind it.
Interesting. But when I get a write request, my crush algorithm makes clear decisions about where data goes. Users can change rules, set replica counts, even define their own failure domain.
Aha! So for one simple write operation, users must deal with crush rules, pool configuration, and PG distribution. I think this is pure over-engineering.
No, this is pure flexibility. My users can set different replica counts for each pool. They can use erasure coding for cold data and replication for hot data. These controls make costs better.
But with all this complexity, how do you ensure consistency? I make a unique versioning ID for each request and
Wait, I use the Paxos algorithm. My monitors join in a, distributed consensus. Users can even set the quorum size. That's full control over the consensus mechanism.
okay, but what happens when a node goes down? I have automatic failover and
Exactly. And I update the crush map dynamically. My OSDs rebalance automatically, but users can adjust weights manually. They can even control backfill rate to prevent network problems.
interesting. But all these controls have a big trade-off: operational complexity. I prefer to provide a strong abstraction layer that simplifies things.
And that abstraction makes a black box. When problems come, troubleshooting gets hard. At least I have Ceph tell commands where you can, talk directly to each daemon.
Maybe, but I have CloudWatch metrics. You can monitor any metric without dealing with internal architecture.
Metrics without context aren't enough. My users can check OSD logs, CPG states, even set scrubbing schedules. That's real, deep visibility.
Let me ask a technical question. How can you say you're good at block storage, file storage, and object storage? It's like someone trying to be a heart doctor, dentist, and eye doctor all at once.
Funny you mention that. See, I use a base layer called Rados. Everything builds on this. RBD for block storage, CephFS for files, and RGW for object storage. They all share one core technology.
Aha! So when a program wants to use block storage, it must go through Rados first, then to RBD, and, all these extra layers mean more latency.
Not exactly. Rados is a distributed object store. When a write request comes, it goes, straight to the OSDs. Plus, I can have a separate pool with special settings for each workload.
Well, I can work with EBS and EFS too, but I prefer to focus on object storage because,
Wait, that's exactly our difference. You connect to other services, but I, support everything natively. Like a PostgreSQL can use RBD directly, while a web server uses object storage, and we still have a shared file system.
but doesn't this complexity, stop you from being excellent at any of them? I focused on object storage and became, a de facto standard.
Actually, it's the opposite. This variety lets my users do, more complex things. Like a VM can run on RBD, store metadata on CephFS, and, keep backups on object storage, all with one unified backend.
You know, it's interesting everyone talks about my vendor lock-in, but I provide a complete ecosystem. Lambda, CloudFront, IAM, CloudWatch, they all work, seamlessly together. Isn't that good?
Aha! Just like a luxury hotel chain that has everything. But when you want to check out, the bill is huge. I prefer letting my users use Librados to build their system how they want.
Look, that's why I say egress fees make sense. Do you think CloudFront CDN, cross-region replication, and all these features are, free?
Interesting you say that. I use Rados GW, which is completely S3 compatible, but users can use any CDN or orchestration tool they like. Kubernetes, OpenStack, VMware, I support them all.
But when everything is in AWS, who worries about orchestration? ECS, EKS, Fargate?
Until you need to go multi-cloud. I've seen companies that started with AWS but then had to go hybrid cloud. Then the migration costs and egress fees.
Wait, I have an S3 compatible API. Anyone can use it.
Yes, but at what cost? I'm open source. Users can see my code, change it, contribute. They can even, become their own storage provider. That's real freedom.
But this freedom means more complexity. Who wants to deal with crush maps and monitor quorums and
People who don't want to pay hundreds of dollars for each terabyte of data transfer. Plus, I have Rook that manages me automatically in Kubernetes. That's freedom and automation.
interesting. But when problems happen, who's responsible? I have 24/7 support.
And I have an active community writing code and fixing problems every day. Plus, being open source means, when one person's problem is fixed, it's fixed for everyone.
You know, Ceph, with all our technical debates and challenges, I'm, happy we could talk honestly today. We're both making the storage world better, just, in different ways.
Exactly. And it's amazing how much we learn from each other. You taught me that simplicity can be good, and maybe I showed you that, transparency isn't always bad.
And we still have so much to discuss. Like, I really want to hear about your experience with Kubernetes and, cloud-native workloads.
And I'm curious about how you handle, all those global requests. I think this is just the beginning of our talks.
Well, goodbye for now, old friend. Until next time, take care of your data.
You too, and remember, sometimes looking behind the curtain isn't such a bad thing.
Thank you for listening to Visionaryx. You can find more technical and practical discussions on our website, visionaryx.tech.
Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.